Hello children, welcome to today's digital class. My name is 𝗬𝗎𝗓. Today we are going to take up an inspiring poem by Rabindranath Tagore, Where the Mind is Without Fear. Before that, let's watch a video. So children, I hope that you have enjoyed the video. Now try to answer these questions. What do you observe in this video? Why are the soldiers being killed? Why people want to fight with each other? What do you think can be the solution to stop these fights? Now we are going to take up the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear. It is written by Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was a versatile, genius and famous Indian writer. He was a dedicated teacher and educationist, besides being a poet, playwright, novelist and painter. Before we start today's poem, let us look at the objectives. By the end of this session, you will be able to know about the poet, make an effort to read the poem individually, collaboratively, to comprehend it, appreciate the rhythm and theme of the poem, try to guess the meanings of the unfamiliar words, learning how to add lines to the poem. So children, before starting the poem, let us look at few words and their meanings which you can find difficult while reading the poem. Fragments, pieces, we cut cake into pieces. Domestic, pertaining to family. Striving, try hard, motivated. We should strive to understand the concept while studying. Stream, river. We have a stream in my grandparents' village. Dreary, dull. Why are you looking so dreary today? Now children, read the poem from the textbook page number 117 and follow these directions while reading. Read the poem silently, put a tick mark for the lines you understood, put a cross mark for the lines you didn't understood, put a star mark for the lines you like the most. You can underline the words that you don't know their meanings. Now children, let us watch some students reading individually. So children, I hope that you have read the poem and comprehended it. Now you all sit in groups and discuss the theme of the poem.
Where the Mind is Without Fear, written by Rabindranath Tagore.
𝗧𝗧𝗧 is country meant to be hardworking, truthful, knowledgeable and broad-minded to enjoy the freedom fully.
When the mind is led forward by thee into ever winding thought and action into that heaven of freedom. My father, let my country awake.
Poet says that people are divided into different countries or different communities or groups based on their caste, creed, color, religion, etc., which are narrow domestic walls, which spoils the unity among the people.
The poet wishes that his motherland should become a heaven on the earth, where people are free from all fears.
Poet thinks that people should earn high with dignity and self-respect.
Poet means to say that knowledge should not only be accessible to rich people, but it should be free for all. Everyone should be allowed to acquire knowledge.
Now children, let us know more about the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear. Rabindranath Tagore praised the God, the Almighty, for a true freedom for his country, and Tagore reveals his own concept of freedom throughout the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear. Dear children, now look at para 1 from the poem. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where the mind is without fear, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, where the mind is without fear, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, where the world has not been broken up, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, into fragments by narrow domestic walls. So children, let us look at the summary of para 1. In para 1, poet prays to the Almighty that his countrymen should be free from fear or forced compulsion. He wishes that everyone in his country has his head high in dignity. He says that the mind should be free from all fears. Everyone should be allowed to acquire knowledge. He also says that the world is broken up by narrow domestic walls. Poet emphasizes the unity of not only of his countrymen but also of entire world. Poet thinks that there should be no division among people based on their caste, creed, color, religion, etc. They spoil the unity among the people. Now children, let us look at the next 4 lines of the poem. Where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the world has not been broken up, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake, where the mind is without fear. So children, let us look at the summary of para 2. Tagore wants a nation where people are truthful, they should not be superficial, and words should come out from the depth of their hearts. Poet wants everyone to work hard to reach their goal and in the long run to reach perfection. Poet thinks they should not be tired by working. People should not be lazy and ignoring their work. So children, now look at the theme of this para. Poet thinks they should not be tired by working. People should not be lazy and ignoring their work. Now children, let us look at the next 4 lines of the poem. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Where tireless striving stretches, where tireless striving stretches, its arm towards perfection, its arm towards perfection. Where the clear stream of reason, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert stand of dead habit, into the dreary desert stand of dead habit, where words come out from the depth of truth. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Where the mind is without fear, where the mind is without fear. Now children, let us look at the theme of this para. Our clear reasoning power is wasted like a stream that flows into a desert. Tagore's vision to have a completely free society where access to knowledge is everyone's right. People should be monitored by rational thinking, not by superstitious beliefs. Now children, let us look at the last para of the poem. Where the mind is led forward by 𝗧 into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. My Father, let my country awake. Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is led forward by 𝗧, where the mind is led forward by 𝗧, into ever-widening thought and action, into ever-widening thought and action, where words come out from the depth of truth. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Where the mind is without fear, where the mind is without fear. Now children, let us look at the summary of the last para. The poet wishes that his motherland should become a heaven on the earth. Poet wants that their minds are led forward to ever-widening thought and action. He offers his prayers to God to help the people of the country to get over these hurdles and they come out from the darkness of ignorance, prejudices, disunity and all other evils. Now children, I am going to ask you a few questions about the poem. Try to answer these questions. Explain what does the poet mean by where knowledge is free.
Poet means to say that knowledge should not only be accessible to rich people, but it should be free for all. Everyone should be allowed to acquire knowledge.
Next, what are narrow domestic walls?
Poet says that people are divided into different countries or different communities or groups based on their caste, creed, religion, etc., which are narrow domestic words, which spoils the unity among the people.
Next, what does the poet mean by the head is held high?
Poet means that people should hold head high with dignity and self-respect.
What is heaven of freedom according to the poet?
The poet wishes that his motherland should become a heaven on the earth where people are free from all fears.
Last question. What does the poet mean by let my country awake?
Poet wishes his country meant to be hardworking, truthful, knowledgeable, and broad-minded to enjoy the freedom fully.
Now children, let us look at the students who are singing a song.
Where the mind is without fear, where the mind is without fear, and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, where the world has not been broken up, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth into the heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake, where the mind is without fear.
So children, I hope that you have enjoyed the video. So children, let us look at the recapitulation of the poem. You have read and comprehended the theme of the poem. You learned the meanings of some unfamiliar words. Now children, let us look at the summary, the theme of the whole poem. We have understood the theme of the poem where poet says, if all the people of a nation are not wise enough to lead a happy and peaceful life from all evils, they cannot enjoy their freedom well. So, to the poet, only political freedom is not so important unless you are fearless, knowledgeable, truthful, hardworking, and broad-minded enough to enjoy it fully. Now children, let us take up a task of adding few lines to the poem. Now here is the poem. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold service, service was joy. Okay children, I hope that you have understood the theme of the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear, written by Rabindranath Tagore. And I suggest you to read more poems of Rabindranath Tagore. So children, let us meet in the next class. Happy learning. Bye bye.